Hello, you riders of the wasteland, you jockeys of the steel machines of rubber and metal. Today, on Rolls and Replay, the board game spin-off of the M.T.V.B podcast, we are going to be looking at Thunder Road Vendetta, which is definitely not Mad Max based, but you know. So today I'll give you a quick run through of how it plays, and we'll be looking at the different elements. I've set the game up ready for a 4-player game, and we're going to be using the base game, which covers the 4 colours: green, orange, blue and white. And you'll see lots of different things ready. So these here are our player boards, which are for each of the different colours, and each colour will have a small car, a medium car and a large vehicle, and also a lovely little helicopter, which we have there. You also have 4 normal dice. So for green, as the green player, I've got my 4 dice here, which you will roll at the beginning of the turn. Now, in the very first round of the game, the person who rolls the lowest will be the first player, which means their cars will go onto the board first. So you get a score of 4 different dice. So for me, I've rolled quite poorly, a 6, a 2 and 2 1s. So that's not going to be getting me very far. Then my first decision is I can then allocate 3 of my dice to the 3 different vehicles, which I will be racing down the Thunder Road to try and win the game. So I've got a 6 here, which I might choose to put on the car I want to lead, ready to go as far as it is, because the number on your dice that you roll is the number of spaces that you will get to move that car. So perhaps I will do that. I'll put a 2 movement on my medium and a 1 on my little train. Actually, no, tell you what, let's swap that around just for there. So I'm going to put a 6 on my big, tough, lumbering vehicle, the big boy, which leaves me with 1 spare. Now, if you look at some of the dashboards, whichever ones you can see, you've got this sort of special action section on the end, which you can assign 4 different actions with your spare dice, depending on what number you've rolled. So there is a little bit of an element of decision. So you might think, well, I really needed that 6, for example, to do a repair on a vehicle. So you can only use 6s to do repairs. You can't use a 1 to do a repair. So I might have had to sacrifice the 6 movement to put it on there. So the options you've got here is you can use any, which I will be doing this time, for an airstrike. You could use a nitro, which is a 1 to 3 value of a dice placed there. And it just gives you a bit of extra boost, a bit of extra speed. You've also got a 3 to 5, which is a drift. So we'll go into that in the future, but it's a way of avoiding collisions if you want to try and sneak through, passing other vehicles without smashing them. Or you've got what I said earlier, which was the 6 for the repair. So for today's demonstration purpose, I'm going to put it on the airstrike because I do like a little bit of chaos. This game is very chaotic. It is you can try and plan. I've played it a few times now, and you try and think, right, I'm going to lead with the small vehicle, which is harder to shoot down but easier to smash out, and I'm going to try and get as far ahead as I can. Believe me, it won't happen. All your plans will get turned into complete carnage as you play, because that is the nature of this game. And we are all fighting on the Thunder Road, so, you know, chaos should be embraced in this game. Don't think too much about your planning and smash into everyone that you can at any opportunity, because it's fun. So I've got my things set up. I've already put some of the vehicles out on the board a little bit here, just to sort of give you a little bit of a demo. So basically, the road will always form 3 main tiles, which can be randomised. They're double-sided, so you do get slightly different layouts. You know, it's not just the same road that you'll be racing on each time. So for today, we start off on the runway run. Then we head into the snake way, which has got some hazards and a little bit of a kink in the road. And then finally, we end at the bunker, which is a lovely tile. I love the bunker, but I will explain to you why I love the bunker in the future. You'll see we've got some of these little red sort of tiles placed on the board. These are unknown hazards on the Thunder Road, and if your car was to move onto it because you've got nowhere else to go, or you get pushed onto it, you would flip that tile over, and luckily for this person, this is just another section of road, so it has no effect. I'll give you a little bit of a demo what the tiles are so that you can see. You've got normal road, which is a big moment, because you ain't going to smash into anything and nothing bad's going to happen. Other options you could have are, you've got mud here. So you'll see there's also mud on the board, which is this sort of brown spaces. Now these basically take 2 movement. So if I had 2 on the dice to get into, I would literally just be able to move into the mud. And then you can move out of it as normal. You've got sand here as well, which basically gives you no penalties, but it means you can't get some of the benefits of the Thunder Road, which I'll go into in a second as well. You've got oil, which will skid your car in one direction using this dice, which you'll get very familiar with playing this game, this lovely little purple chaotic dice, which basically shows you which direction, if you're the centre, your car is the centre, which direction you'll skid off onto. So if you hit oil, you might be sliding and slipping around. Or you could have a wreck, which adds a smashed previous loser of the Thunder Road Vendetta race somewhere on the board to act as a hazard that could be smashed into by other cars. And then last but not least, rather deadly, you can have mines, hidden mines, which are going to explode and cause your car instant damage. So those are the tiles there. Now, we've all rolled our dice and got ready. The person who is the first player will also roll this little grey dice. This is the road dice. So for today, I'll do it, and I've got a measly 1. What this means is if you stay your whole turn on the Thunder Road, which is the grey road spaces, you can get an extra bonus of whatever this road dice is. So that means you can literally move 1 extra space further. So say I was this white car and I'd stayed on the grey, I could then use the road dice to give myself a little cheeky boost a little bit further ahead of people. So that's rolled by the first player at the beginning of the turn. So we are now sort of ready. I've moved most of my cars, all my opponents have moved, and I've got this little 6 here at the end for my big car, which I said earlier, the bigger car your car is, the better it is for collisions, because it's a big chonky boy and it ain't gonna get smashed around as much as, say, a little car. But the big cars will be easier to shoot from other vehicles that are chasing you down. So there's a benefit depending on which playstyle you want. So I've got a 6. Now, I might just decide, you know what, I'm not going to stay on the road, so I'll go forwards. Now, if you look at the board, you've got these spaces. You can only ever go into a forward space. There is no retreating on the Thunder Road. No one drives backwards. What sort of cowardice is this? You would be destroyed immediately, surely. So you can only go into either the straight ahead tile. So for example, if I were to take this and pop it here, I could only move straight ahead, or I could move to the right ahead tile, the left ahead tile, or the right ahead tile. And then you can make the next decision depending on where you want to go in the race. So let's just say I'll come on here, 1, 2, I'll go left, 3, 4. Now I don't really want to go into the mud, I just want to cause chaos. So I'm going to try and smash into the blue player's little small car. My big car will smash into the little small car. Now, let's talk about this. This is one of the main sort of mechanics of Thunder Road, and it's very fun. So you would roll this lovely chaotic purple dice, which is going to show you which direction the affected car is going to move off on. And you'll roll this lovely red dice. And this red dice basically says what car is going to be affected. So if I were to roll this one, it would be the top car moving in whichever direction shown on the purple dice. If I were to roll this, it would be the bottom car moving in whichever direction is shown on the purple. So for this one, I'll roll it, and it would be the bottom car moving straight back. So as the bottom car is the blue player's small car, I think I'll accept that result. There is a little thing. If your car is bigger than the car, or whichever car is bigger than the other car, that player can decide to force a re-roll. So if I didn't like the result I'd got because I was a bigger car, i.e. a large car versus a small car, I could re-roll those dice once and then take that result instead. But conversely, if you are, say, if a small car had smashed into my large car and the player with the small car rolls the dice, if I don't like that because I've got the bigger vehicle, I can choose him. No, you're going to re-roll that. I want to try something better. And believe me, you will want to be doing that because there's times where you're in very dangerous positions and you don't want to get your car smashed. But for today, I will take that result, which moves the small blue car backwards onto the white's large car, which is not going to stay there. I've caused a further crash. So then it basically just works like a chain reaction. This is where the chaos comes in. So I'd roll another one, and again it would be that poor little blue car because it's showing the top car and it's moving that top car forwards, which would again ping it back onto me, and then you carry on, can completely carry on until that car ends up in somewhere that it can legitimately stay. Now there's one other thing you can do to affect your other players' cars at the end of the turn. So perhaps you haven't got into a place. So say I'd managed to somehow get through to here. Maybe I use my drift, which would mean I could zoom through this blue car. So I could have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, not causing a crash because of the drift. 5, 6. I wouldn't be able to use the road dice because I've gone onto the yellow sand. And I haven't caused a collision. But now I can unleash some rain of fury. I'm going to fire up those machine guns that are bolted to every one of these vehicles, and I'm going to try and shoot a player in one of the front 3 spaces. No one in there, no one in there, but there is a lovely medium blue car. So this poor blue player is getting all of my wrath this turn, whatever happens. So what you would do in this instance is you roll the shooting dice, just one dice, which is a black, and it's got different symbols. There's a lot of symbols for large because it is easier to hit large vehicles. There is only one symbol which shows medium and small. So there's only one symbol that would hit small, and then there's one that would hit any, so a lucky space. So effectively, if you are trying to shoot a small vehicle, it's a 2 in 6 chance, whereas if you're trying to shoot a large vehicle, it is a 4 in 6 chance of you hitting. But I'm trying to shoot a medium, which I think is a 3 in, it's a 50-50 chance. Let's see how I roll. And look at that. Almost as if I am being gifted by the dice gods. I've rolled a hit on my medium. So what would happen then is you blind draw from the damage token pile, and then you look over to see what effect it would have on the vehicle. So blue player's been very lucky. He's just dented. So my machine guns have just dented his car, but they have still done damage to the car. So what would happen is you attach that damage tile beneath the affected car, which is the medium. If a vehicle ever gets 2 damage tokens, it is inoperable. So, if I hit it again, I would then flip over to show that that car is basically damaged, and you would flip that car backwards. It's not out of the game, not yet. You can still be in there trying to fix it. You've got the repair action, so you could sacrifice on the next turn a 6 that you'd rolled to put it on the repair, which would mean you would then take away one of the damage tokens, flip your board back over, would still have 1 remaining damage, and you would be able to flip your car forward and continue using it that turn as if it was good. So some of the other damage tokens, because these can be very fun and very chaotic, and these will be one of the ways that you eliminate a lot of players by giving them damage. You would flip over this tile, say this one is a skid, and it would move you 1 backwards, which would then move this blue car, say, back into my green. And then I would roll the purple and the red dice because it's a collision and it can't end there. And then we would resolve whatever happened to that vehicle. Maybe it ends up getting pushed back forwards. It would still get the damage token and have that effect. You've got other damage tokens, such as dazed. This is an interesting run. You would roll this green dice, which we haven't looked at. So you roll the green dice first. This shows you how many, and it is a 3. That's a lot of moves. Basically, the gunshots have concussed the driver, and he's going to go all over the place. So now I need to roll this purple dice 3 times, doing and enacting the moves each time I roll it. So first of 3 would send it there. Second would send it back into the mud. And then the third would send it back to where it ends up. So he's just driving around in a daze because he's smacked his head on something because of the gunshots. You would still add the damage token. You might also get a damage token that reads shrapnel. This is quite dangerous and comes out of nowhere. Basically, the gunshots into that blue vehicle have caused something catastrophic to happen and explode out of it. You would roll this direction dice again, my lovely little purple chaos dice. And then anything in a line would take a damage tile. So I've rolled really badly. So my large green vehicle had shot him. It's exploded straight back at me. I would take a damage tile off of the pile, resolve it. This little medium purple player's car would also take a damage because it's gone in a straight line and shot lethal red hot shrapnel through my vehicle and into the yellow vehicle and onwards. So we would both get damaged, as well as the green in that instance. The last one, which is the fun one. This little tile has killed more cars and eliminated more players than I think anything else in all my games. Because if you flip this tile, you'll be rolling the green dice. You'll be rolling our lovely little chaos purple dice. And what happens is basically your car is going to fly through the air, however many distance spaces. So say I'd rolled a 3 on that one, in the direction of that purple dice. So for example, it would go 1, 2, 3, clearing that car because it's flying. This vehicle is airborne, and it would land where it is, and this would get put on the player tile. So that's some of the damage tokens. But I hear you say, my little budding road warrior, how am I actually supposed to destroy my vehicles and take my opponents? How can I win this race in this post-apocalyptic wasteland? I want victory. I want to win. I want to crush all of my opponents, puny orange, sickly blue, and pale white. I want to be the winner of the furry red. Well, I'll tell you how you eliminate people. So you can take cars out and leave them in unfixed things, but they can still be repaired. So you might think that's not going to cause anything. As the race progresses, when the very first car, my lovely little big green, we'll just say, because I'm going to win this race, gets to off the end of the front board, everything on the rear board is destroyed. So if by some miraculous luck I'd managed to zoom ahead this far, all of these cars would be destroyed. You would slide this down, removing that tile, you would add another section, and you keep like a rolling road. You would keep going until either one player is eliminated, then the lovely ends token, which is this one, the final race victory point, would be added onto the end, and then it's the first person to cross, or you can eliminate all the other players, and then that would leave you riding alone into the sunset to victory. And well deserved after chaos and over the mutilated corpses and trashed wrecks of your sad opponents. So let's say we haven't been able to race ahead and we haven't been able to delete the last tile with everyone on there. How can I eliminate my vehicles? Well, you can push vehicles off. So say, for example, you were really lucky here and you smashed the blue's medium car, which is already inoperable, off of the road. It is then destroyed. So if anything moves off of the side, or let's just say you hit this little token here and it was a skid and you were really unlucky on your purple dice and you rolled like that result, for example, that would skid your car off and kill it. There is no re-roll. You just slide off and are destroyed. There are also tiles on this board which have got like double yellow lines around, which is why I like the bunker, because there is a large section in the bunker which is basically mountain. If anyone gets pushed in, you would slam it into the bunker cliff and it would be completely destroyed. Exactly the same as if you'd pushed it off the board. So that's why I like this tile, because there's a large space in the middle and little choke points where if a car gets there and everyone else chases up behind, they're going to try and slam them off. And that's where if you want to really be taking your bigger cars and smashing into smaller cars, because then if it's a bad result, like somehow you get knocked into the cliff, you can force them to re-roll with a chance of not being slammed into the cliff. So that's another way. This is where that blast off thing became an issue on the tile, because if you blast off and your car gets flipped 3 spaces off the side of the road, it's immediately destroyed. So this is where it gets very chaotic. A lot of the time in this game you'll have big clumps of cars all trying to force their way through. Sometimes you're like, I've kind of stuck myself here because I can't get past. My own vehicles are blocking me and I'm going to potentially get pushed into hazards or pushed off the road. It gets really chaotic and really exciting. You don't want to be ending your little cars next to the road, because you can be guaranteed that all the players are going to try and slam you off with their bigger cars because you're in a danger zone. Now, if we cast our minds back to the very beginning, I put this measly little 1 in an airstrike space, which means I get my lovely helicopter on the board. Now these helicopter pilots basically enter the board. You can put them on any space, and then if you assign, so say I put it here because I wanted to shoot big white truck over there, and then next turn I put another on my airstrike, I could just move it to a different place, so it stops it from getting left behind. I could put it wherever I wanted on any space, and it can't slam into other vehicles, but it can shoot them. So you put it anywhere that would give you a shot at one of the front 3 spaces, and then you just resolve a shoot action. So in this case, look at that. I am being smiled on. I wish I had this luck in every game I played. I've hit that. It would take another damage tile, and this would be a dazed. We would resolve that, and then it would go at the bottom of the large one. There's one other thing. Because these pesky little sky fly boys are just excited to be in the Thunder Road game, they get a little bit trigger happy. So let's just say this one's been hovering around here, hasn't been able to shoot a little bit, but he's still blocking that space. Now, other cars can easily go under and carry on. Nothing will happen to them. But if for whatever reason, let's say blue has slammed into white here and it's knocked using the lovely little Chaos purple dice, it has knocked the little white car under the helicopter. That helicopter pilot is excited. He gets to drop bombs. He is going to blow that car up. Any vehicle that ends its turn underneath any chopper, even if, for example, it was your own chopper, that chopper pilot is going to go gung-ho and blow up that car. So you can add not only shooting with your helicopters and your airstrikes, but you can add another hazard to the board, which is an insta-kill hazard. So, for example, we've seen things in games where at this lovely little choke point, someone pops a chopper there, blue might pop a chopper over here, and then you've got all these cars clustered trying to figure out ways to get through without getting destroyed. And it gets very chaotic. But chaos is the nature of Thunder Road. So if you can eliminate your cars, let's say I'd lost my small car's been knocked off, it went and blasted off into the sunset and was atomized, I would still roll all 4 dice at the beginning of my turn. So everyone would take it in turns to move one of their cars or do one of the special actions. And then when everyone has resolved all of theirs, the next player would roll the road dice, giving it a 2. Everyone would re-roll their full 4 dice. But now I've only got 2 vehicles. So I can put 1 dice on there, 1 dice on my large. I like to do another airstrike just for fun and chaos. But that would leave me with a spare dice. Now there is a little catch-up mechanic for those who've lost vehicles. And I can basically add it as a 1. Whatever the face value, if it was a 2, it would still only count as 1 move. You can place it on coast, which would mean you get to bump that car 1 extra space. So you can sort of drift. And if you want to slam into someone, you can still slam into someone. It just gives you something so that you're not getting left behind with 1 little car. You can coast up to twice with 2 dice if you've lost 2 vehicles. Say medium had gone as well. And I only had big large left over here. I could roll both of those. I'd take my normal action as normal. Then I could add a coast for another space on another turn. And then on another turn, I could add 1 more coast just to try and eke out those last little bits of speed that might bring you victory. Now, maybe I've had a really bad game and I've lost all my vehicles. I am unfortunately out. But then, like I said earlier, that is when the last finish line would, and then it would just be a straight race for everyone else to take their cars across the finish. And it's the first person to get across the finish who wins the Vendetta Fury Road race. Or, and as often happens, you can just destroy everyone else. Or you can destroy yourself. That happens quite often in this game. Plans are made, but are never enacted. Not in this game. You can try and do your most cunning moves and your most tactical routes, and then you end up smashing yourself into a helicopter when you try to take out a small car with your big car, and your big car is instantly vaporized by a trigger-happy chopper pilot. That's just the way this game goes. And I think I've covered everything, and I hope that this makes you want to take a little trip down this road, go out for a friendly little Sunday night drive with your friends, and smash them to pieces. There are expansions for this game, which you can pick up if you really like it, which give you new tiles, new vehicles. Might not be based on the war rig from Mad Max, legally distinct, but the big one, the motorbikes. There's lots of extra bits. There's expansions which give you special characters that you can choose instead of just generic board effects. But this is a game for chaos. It can be quite quick, so it's not one where you're waiting for people to agonise over their turns. It's quite a fast-paced once everyone knows the rules. Chaos forward game, and I love it. And you should join me on the the Thunder Road for Vendetta, so that we can destroy our enemies with choppers and cars, and we'll smash and mines and blast offs. Waha! Calm. Goodbye, everyone. From Dave. I've been Dave. I don't know if I said that at the beginning, but I'm Dave from M.T.V.B podcast. I hope you enjoyed Thunder Road Vendetta. P.S. If you would like, comment and subscribe on this, share it with all your friends, get more people involved in board games, and keep following us at M.T.V.B podcast or Rolls and Replays.